right, welcome to another edition of Genius Loan Officer. I am honored with having Matt, the mortgage guy, on here. We're going to talk to him, get his insight on what's going on, how you can grow your business, and just have some cool conversations. So always and forever happy to have the one percenters on here that are doing it in such a different way that you can learn from, I can learn from. It's just a great community. So remember, if you're about to listen to this and you're not going to take action, just get off. Go walk, go exercise, do something. If you're going to stick around, take some action after this and grow your business. That's what we are here about. We're not about just listening. We're about taking massive action to grow your business and help you in your everyday life. All right, Matt, the mortgage guy, Gougé, right?
Yes, sir. You got it. You nailed it.
Nailed it. Okay. So thank you so much for being on here, brother.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pleasure being on, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So Matt, you are doing some big things. You've been in the business for almost 8 years now, and you're slinging a few loans. You're doing well.
Yeah. We're out here in California having fun, serving people, doing some loans. And like you said, hearing something is one thing, taking action on it is another. I think that's probably been one of the biggest things with my successes. Like a personal coach I work with has told me, you're an executor. Like if we put a plan together, we talk about a plan, that's sometimes the easy part, going out and executing on it and actually, taking the steps needed to become successful in whatever business you're in is the hard part. And so hopefully, over the next 45 minutes or however long we chat, there's something that sticks out and somebody just takes a note, takes a pen and writes down, I'm going to give that a try. I'm going to give that a try. And if I can add value to somebody out there that helps them go from 2 loans a month to 5 or from 5 to 10, then I'll feel like we had a win here today.
Absolutely. That's a whole deal. And yeah, the top producers, the one in any industry, they're just taking action. They're taking more action. I always talk about the pendulum swing. There's a pendulum swing. You're either shrinking or you're posturing, and in the middle is composure. And when you're composed, you just take what knowledge you have now, what tools you have now, and then you just take action. You show up confidently, and guess what? Good things a lot of times happen, right? And we're going to learn a lot of things along the way, but if you don't take action, just not going to happen. So you took action because you were in the top 1% in the industry, doing crazy numbers. And I'd like to hear about your journey. How'd you get into loans, and how did you scale up, just start scaling up and taking real action?
Sure. I love kind of reliving the growth, because sometimes we get so busy in our day-to-day business that you forget, and then you talk about it, you're like, oh, wow, I built something kind of cool here. I've actually grown some along the way. And so back in 2013, I was doing finance for the state, and it was a really short blip doing finance for the state. I actually managed a small business for 9 years before that, but had a friend just come to me at a kid's birthday party and say, hey man, I'm getting back into mortgage. I think you'd be good at it. You're a hardworking dude. You know how to work hard. You've got a network. You're good at math. You're good with people. Give it a shot. And it's funny because 2013 was the year my second son was born. I'm working a state job that doesn't pay a ton, but I've got benefits and I've got some stability. And my wife's going to be taking care of the kiddos. So I'm the sole provider. And the thought of like, let's go do something that's 100% commission. Might have been a little bit scary, but it probably helped me, right? Because I had no other choice. The boats were burned. I had to succeed or drown. And a funny story that I like to relive a lot, because the broker owner at the broker shop where I'm hanging my license right now, me and him were working together in those early days at a retail shop. And he said, Matt, I always knew you were going to be successful. And one of the reasons was when I first got started, I was working so much because I just had to succeed. I had no other choice, that I would, 16, 18-hour days have to have a 45-minute nap underneath my desk. So I had a pillow and a blanket underneath my desk. And I actually, was was burning the midnight oil, trying to, figure out ways to get business at night. And then during the day, after, banging out 100 phone calls, I take a 45-minute power nap under my desk, and my buddy Dan recognized, like, yeah, this guy is on a mission to succeed. And so, it's funny when you're 8 years out from that, you've got this steady flow of leads and this steady flow of referrals and businesses coming in. People might look at it and say, like, oh man, look at how easy Matt's got it. Things are just flowing for him. There's been hours and years of grind behind that. I don't really know many people that plug into some magic potion that all of a sudden leads come, raining in from all directions, and you just have, 50, 60 loans a month on accident.
Yeah, it's definitely grinding. I love the whole. I love what you shared. There's a couple things that resonates with me as well. It's burning the ships, right? I mean, that forced you to do the things necessary, and then along the way, you figured out, hey, I'm probably pretty good at this, and this is actually really sustainable for me to grow. And I love where somebody said you're good at math. That's exactly like, you're really good at math. You should be a loan officer. It's like, which I think we both understand. It's like, that's very little to do with
right.
how good you are as a loan officer. I think there's a lot of loan officers can't do math, and they're really good. We happen to maybe be good at it, but it's just funny. Everybody's like, hey, you're good at math. Perfect.
Right. Yeah. It's 1/10 of 1/100th of the job. And I'm like, okay, yeah, pretty good at math. Always been good at math, but that's such a small piece. I agree with you 100% on that one.
That's funny. But yeah, I love that you started grinding, you started putting down the foundation, and now it does look easy for you, right? Because you put probably team in place, you put the systems in place, and now it's becoming a lot more sustainable, though you're not having to probably take 40, maybe you are taking 45-minute naps, I don't know, but you're probably not as burnt out as you were when you first got into it. But I love that story. You made it happen.
Right. Yeah. Through consistent action. And that's the thing too, is like you talked about taking action, and it's consistent action. There's plenty of people I see in this industry, and they're curious on, like, I wonder why I'm not doing as good as that person, or I wonder why I haven't, broke through this ceiling of however much business you're currently doing. And you probably can tie it to consistent action. You might work really hard some weeks, and, rates come down and you're pounding refinances and you feel like you're really trying hard. But if you do that for 1 or 2 weeks, and then you take a week off, or you work really hard for 3 days and you take a couple of days off, that to me isn't like the true recipe for long-term success. Because what happened, Adam, is I learned the skill set and I trained myself to be a consistent action taker. I can't slow myself down now if I tried. I've got support staff and I've got all these things in place that are bringing me more business, but I've trained myself over 7 years. It's like being a high level athlete and training at a certain level. Like, you're not going to just go sit on a couch when you retire. Like, athletes are continuing to train, and they're probably going to stay in pretty good shape for a long time. Like, I'm as busy as I've ever been and working as hard as I've ever worked, because, now I'm probably better at it, where I don't have to stretch it out over 80 hours during the week. I can be super productive in 40, but I'm working hard. I'm running just as fast as I was when I was starving to death and trying to get 1 or 2 loans across the finish line per month.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're right. I mean, you're working really hard. It's kind of like, I always liken it to when I was a power lifter, and people are like, well, how many hours a week are you lifting or whatever? And I'm like, well, I'm lifting about 6 hours a week. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm lifting 8, 10. Well, it's like, it's not the hours, it's how much preparation you have. It's how much, like, when you come in there, the fire, it's like an athlete, you said, and that consistent real action that you're taking place. It's not, you're working out hard for a week, and then all of a sudden the next week you're kind of taking it off, and then you're having no vision and no aspirations. It's a recipe to keep just going right back to level. And I love that, because you raise the bar. And I love the fact that you're saying, hey, people are counting on me, right? People are counting on me. I think that's a really great byproduct of adding people, because if you're someone that just likes to serve people and you like to take care of people as well, it gives you that good boost too. Like, hey, I've got to show up and do my job, because people are counting on me to come in here and bust my butt and grab deals and make partnerships and make them money as well.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like the small business I ran before, I didn't have all the leadership skills in the world, but one thing that I knew I always had, and it was just natural for me, is like, I'm not going to ask you to do something I wouldn't do. And I'm not going to sit on a beach in Costa Rica, work 10 hours a week and ask, support staff to work 50. I'm always going to be first in, last out, working the hardest. And so, a lead by example type of organization is the most successful one from what I've seen. So I've continued to try to do that where, I'm showing up because I want to serve more people and create a business that supports me and my family. But like you said, once you start bringing people on, then you realize like, okay, we've got to sustain this machine. We've got to continue to serve more and more people, because not only are they counting on us and me and my family counting on us, but now I've got people within the organization that are also counting on this thing, continuing to succeed.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, like, where's the vision going now? Like, now that you kind of laid that roadmap, is there big plans you got ahead of you? Is there just scaling it more? Is there some maybe trying to open a own company? What's the big agenda going on the next little while for Matt?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because there's been so much thought around this and so much discussion. I've got a couple different coaching programs that I'm involved in, and a personal coach that I've had hours of conversation with, and then hours of conversations with my staff on, what are we trying to grow into? What is my vision for the future? Because after a certain point, you go from loan officer to leader to visionary, right? Where it's like, I'm creating the vision for the future and I'm going to help us get there. And then you have to place the people in the right seats to help you get there. And so it's a really fun time for me right now, because I'm learning the skills that it takes to grow this thing to, our production goal in 2025 is 500 million. And so I'm looking at the steps between now and then, how do we get to 200? How do we get to 300? How do we get to 400? But ultimately, 500 million, which in my market's going to be probably between 1,000 and 1,200 loans in 2025. Like, what sort of for that, current, like this year we'll do 125 million. And so, to 4X what we have now, it's not just we 4X support staff, whatnot. We got to, plug in certain pieces here and certain pieces there. And so, there's that part of it, which is just all metrics and math, right? If we take in so many leads, turns into so many deals, turns into so many closings, that's the deal flow. But I think even more important than that is a lot of conversations I've had recently around, chasing impact instead of chasing income. Because once you start closing 100 million plus, it's probably not about the money anymore. And for me, it certainly isn't. Me and my wife have had really cool conversations on ways we can make an impact, in our community with people we love, and do a bunch of neat stuff that for me and for a lot of people, I think that have success, way more important than the fanciest 2021 or 2022 vehicle that you can buy, or, fancy toys that are out there. I'm an Apple Watch guy. You probably won't ever see me wearing a Rolex, but if I can grow this business that gives me a lot of satisfaction because I'm serving a lot of people, and then that so happens to spit off the type of income that can help me serve more people and impact more lives, like that's really cool. And I'm lucky to have a wife that really enjoys that stuff and really is aligned with me and my vision on that side of things. Because, when you have something that's that strong, I think it pulls you even harder than like, I made this year, I'm going to try to make this next year. Like, that only goes so far. I mean, this is not gonna have the same sort of like, man, remember what we did last year? How cool that was, doing what we did for that family, or doing what we did for your mom, or doing what we did over there. Like, what if we did double that? What if we did quadruple that? And so that's where I think that's the part of the life vision that's helping pull along this mortgage growth vision, where I'm perfectly content as a producing loan officer with a team. I don't think I have any aspirations of opening up my own broker shop or doing anything like that. Just because I think it takes away some of the focus of what I'm building. And, to build the 500 million a year in production, I don't want to deal with compliance. I don't want to deal with call reports. I don't want to deal with all the stuff that comes with that, right? I just want to build a really efficient team and model to where we can serve 1,000, 1,200 people a year at a really high level. And it becomes really fun when you've got a really efficient team who's all aligned with what they're trying to do. We're all sharing in the wins, the success, and the growth together, because it's, all the reviews that come in are for all of us. It's not, it really has less and less to do with Matt, the mortgage guy, than it ever has been, right? Because, somebody might find us online, fill out an application, get pre-approved, get some, specific scenarios and coaching around their loan, and then go through the loan process and close. They might not talk to me. And, that's something that for some loan officers might feel like, like the craziest thing they've ever heard. But I have conversations with people every day where if you go to Wendy's and you order a burger, it's the most delicious burger you've ever had. The service is great. The tables are clean. Everything about the experience is great. Are you going to be upset that you didn't meet Dave Thomas? Of course not. It's a 5-star experience, right? And so if I can build something where the Matt, the mortgage guy team, creates an experience that serves the client at a high level, whether or not they talk to me, it doesn't make any difference. They didn't meet Dave Thomas, and they might not get 4 hours on the phone with Matt, the mortgage guy, but everybody around me who, for most parts of the process, are serving people at a much higher level than I would be able to personally, especially when you're talking about hundreds of people a month getting pre-approved. It's not humanly possible, but, that kind of stuff is fun. And so, even if that's not your goal and not your vision, I think as a loan officer, even if you're only doing a handful of deals per month, it's good to start thinking about your business as a business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you said a lot of things we coach all the time and loan officer all the time. And I experience it myself when the same way, not even talking to the client and closing, right. Which I remember when I had epiphany on that, when I called a client and they were closing, and I think I spoke to them one time during the transaction. I called and I said, "Hey, congratulations." She said, "Oh, thank you so much for calling me so many times during this." I'm like, I thought she was being smart aleck. I was like, I said, "Excuse me?" And I thought, is she about to come at me? Right? Almost, because I was like that, because I was like, a lot of times I spoke to her one other time, and she said, I know you're the business owner of this, and for you to call me, I thank you so much. I mean, that means a lot. And really, I think that's when a more light bulb went off, right? It's like, wait a second, they don't expect you to call them all,
right.
and they got the great experience. And you're right, that whole experience that they're having doesn't have to come from you. And you said another really key thing there is, people can do it better than we can on the as originator, because people can take care of them at such a systemized way that we maybe can't, because we're the ones that go out there and grab the deals and make the partnerships, and we're speaking high level. And sometimes other people are really better at just collecting the docs, making that experience really seamless more than we are. And I think that's where loan officers get stuck so much. I think a lot of it just is a self-worth thing. I think that sometimes maybe you struggle with it, and we can talk about that. I know for me, when I started doing that, it's like, wait a second, am I really doing anything? Or is this really almost like guilt comes up? And then you have to go back and read a book, what was that book? Was it Raving Fans? Anyway, and it's basically you go in there and the supermarket is not, didn't do all these things, and they get outside the supermarket and it's like, oh, I had this great experience. Did they bag your groceries? Oh, no, they didn't. Right. So it's we don't have to be all things, all people. The thing is, we do things really well. If our team does things really well and there's a great experience, it doesn't matter that we're not the ones always talking to them. And the end of the day, we're not that important as we think we are, right?
Right.
That's the whole key. And so you out there, if you're listening to this, you're not as important to this process as what you think you are when it comes to that. People just want to get taken care of. They want the end result. nobody wants a mortgage. Ain't nobody want a mortgage. Everybody wants a house. They get to the end of it. They got a good experience. You did your job because you put people in place, like you put people in place, Matt. I'm sure you create that vision for them, but they would thank you just like they would thank someone if they went to Jeff Ruby's, which I don't know if you ever ate at Jeff Ruby's, really good steakhouse, really not expensive. If the owner comes up and says, man, did you have a good experience? I'm the owner. You'd be like, thank you so much. You'd think that was cool.
Right.
And you would think he's done a really good job, even though he never served you, because he did create that platform, that focus, that vision, just like you are, and you did your job. And that's what is important to people, is that you set it up for success.
Right. Yeah. I mean, being around a bunch of loan officers and doing events across the country, I definitely can relate to, and I went through it as well, where we think to ourselves like, no. Like they want to work with me, Matt, the mortgage guy, and I built this business, and everybody starts the same way, where it's, you're talking to every single client, you're chasing every single step, you're doing, from soup to nuts, every single thing in the transaction. But the sooner you're able to recognize that, oh, I can serve people at a higher level. It's not even that like I can serve more people or do this, scale it more at a higher level, when I put people in places where it's like, this person's really good, detail oriented at this part of it. This person's really good at this part of it. Then you start serving people at a higher level. I don't know many people that are really good at, the bringing stuff in the door that are also really good at the minutia and the mechanics. I personally will admit to you, I'm terrible at the mechanics. Right. I'm a shake hands, kiss babies, create partnerships, do the type of stuff that's going to bring business in. And now I'm trying to get as good as I can on coaching up people so that we can serve at a high level. And from what I've found over these last couple of years, as we've scaled more and more, is that the client experience is getting better. It's not getting worse. And, like you said, I think it's an ego thing for some people, where like they think to themselves, well, if people don't need to talk to me, how important am I? And you just got to get over it, really. I mean, there's the best advice is get over that as soon as you can, because the sooner you can, you'll be able to walk in the shoes of so many that have come before us, that have built huge, amazing teams that have served thousands of people, and they are not in the minutia. They're, working on the business, not in the business, making sure that, the whole thing operates as smooth and seamlessly as possible. Because like you said, that's another thing that loan officers forget, is that like people don't wake up super excited, like, oh, I'm gonna go get a mortgage today. They see granite countertops and they see a swimming pool and they see a neighborhood they want to live in. Like that's what gets them excited. It's, make this mortgage thing that I know I have to do as less stressful as possible. And we'll be happy with you. So a lot of good stuff in that.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot of good things in there, which is, people do start off that way. You kind of have to start off that way, and you have to build a team. But just I hope people understand that there is a way to do that. And you said it. There's a disc profile, right? If you run a disc profile, nobody's like a 99 DISC, right? Right? Like I'm a 99 DNI, right? That means I can make decisions, and I can sugarcoat stuff, and I can, love on people, and, just like you said, kiss babies, shake hands, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to be as good at that document collecting, because I was always really good at knowing that deal can go. That's Matt, you can get a mortgage. I know it can go, but I'm putting it all together. It's like,
right. Yeah. I'm going to have somebody else handle that. Yeah. Yeah. The team's got
really that great at it. Like, I know the deal's going to close. Like, I know I can tell that. The other stuff's like, oh gosh. Right. So like, that's the whole deal. And out there, if you're struggling right now, it's like, oh man, I'm only doing 3 or 4 loans, and that can never happen for me. Well, you just have to change that mindset. And maybe you don't want to run 20 and 30 and 40 loans a month, but just know that there is other ways to start growing your business and start adding somebody in place. And when you start doing that and you start working within your zone of genius, you are going to start growing. You're going to start getting better. And if you had one thing to choose, like Matt here, is really now it's into leadership and the vision. If you get into that realm, that's when you really start making more money, more impact, creating more of a life for yourself and not just be at the office 80 hours a week. Because there's so many loan officers out there doing 5 loans a month, working 60 hours a week because they're just not the right activity. You're getting bogged down. They're doing all the activities they're not necessarily good at. So it's slowing them down, and it's just that cycle just keeps going on. So you have to push through the other side. It may be painful, but once you push through the other side, things can open up for you. So, and I know you had to push through some probably some painful spots where it's like all of a sudden, oh, their light bulb came on. Now I know how to run my business, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, essentially too, I was looking at the other day and talking with my coach, and you basically grow and break your current system. And then you got to rebuild it. Then you grow and break that system. You got to rebuild it. So you constantly hit a ceiling where it's like, I have no idea how with this few people we were doing 10 loans a month. It got broke. We had to fix it, add a person, do whatever we did. Then we got to 15, like no idea, how we can do any more with that amount of people. So 1 month, 18 gets done and everybody's hair is on fire. So you break that system and you got to, continue to grow. I think a piece of actionable advice that I'd love to give people, because I hear it come up so often, and I've probably had this conversation with 10 or 12 different people in mentoring programs and whatnot, is what newer loan officers will say for whatever reason, whether it's limiting belief or whether it's just, afraid of taking on somebody else. When I get to 5 loans a month, I'm going to hire somebody to chase steps. Or when I get to this number, I'm going to do this. I can promise you, and call me, send me an email, tell me I'm an idiot if this is turns out to be untrue. But if you're doing 3 or 4 loans a month and you want to get to 8, don't wait until you get to 6 to hire somebody to help you. I promise you. You hire somebody who's doing an activity that you don't necessarily like or is taking up a lot of your time. I promise you all of a sudden have free time to go out and generate more business. You're going to get to that number faster. That employee or that support staff is going to, pay for themselves 5 times over. Even the ones, to be completely honest, that aren't that great. Yeah. I've seen loan officers grow hiring a mediocre person to help them, but it's just given them enough free time to say, hey, I don't want to remind somebody I need page 4 of the bank statement. I don't want to remind somebody, yes, we've got this, but we still need the 19 W-2. Have somebody do just that job. And now all of a sudden you've got 6 or 8 hours. If you generated 4 loans a month and only 6 or 8 hours of your time is generated towards bringing loans in, you just doubled that. You just doubled the amount of time that you're able to go out there. And, people forget that as originators, originate is the number one thing to do. Go out there and get business.
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely love that. That is something we say all the time. We've repeated this message, I don't know how many times on the coaching calls. It's, you got to hire. You just got to, it's always like, I'll get to that certain level and then I got enough money to pay for it. It's like, everybody looks at it in terms of like how many dollars per year it's going to cost, right? It's like, I'm gonna have to hire someone and then it's going to cost me 40 or 50 grand a year. And it's like, why don't you just chunk that down to like how much it's going to cost you a week and a month and go, because if you get in 3 months and you can't support them and you truly done everything, then it is what it is, right? But like, I think you're going to find out there is that you're going to do the activities that is going to, what the heck? Not sure something was going on my recorder there. Anyway, yep. So, but you're going to find the activities, you're going to find the time, you're going to do the right activities to then justify that hire. It's going to work itself out, but waiting is all you're going to do is just keep waiting because you're going to be just in pain doing 4 and 5 loans. And how long have you been doing that? I mean, there's people running cycles for years doing that and still saying that. If they would just take the plunge and say, hey, I'm going to set this aside, I'm going to do this. And what I would advise people out there too is, go to your company and say, hey, here's what I'm planning to do, and try to get some kind of a buy-in that when I do hit a certain number, maybe you'll end up taking some of that cost on as well. Now, they won't probably give it to you because you're doing 4 or 5 loans up front. You got to prove that out. But you got to be willing to put your own money on the line to do that. The big mistake I see out there as well on this is that people are waiting for the company to pay for it. And it's like, listen, your company is not going to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And if you believe, oh, I can add somebody and I can do 4 loans a month, then do it. You got to just take the plunge and do it. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting back. The same cycle is just going to keep going over and over and over. So I love that. And I love where you're saying alignment. So somebody asked me the other day, you know, what's the biggest reason why you're having success in the coaching and everything else? I said, simple word, alignment. When you're in alignment, your team is in alignment like you are right now. You're in that flow state. Stuff's starting to flow well. You know what the mission is, and there's no deviation from that. You know where you're headed. You know where you're going. You may break the system at some point, but you know the hell where you're going, right? You know that bullseye.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it's in business, you create win-wins however you can. And that is a surefire way to gain momentum and to continue to grow is, you know, a lot of my team members have incentives that are tied to total production. We do more loans, they make more money. We do more loans, we get more positive reviews that gets to be showered on everybody. People like to make a difference. People like to feel good that they're serving people, and it doesn't hurt that they're going to make more money doing it too, right? And so we're all in alignment with all of that stuff. One thing I wanted to touch on to kind of wrap up the last part we were talking about was I'd challenge people to, instead of looking at it as, okay, this person's going to cost me $40,000 per year. What's the opportunity cost if you don't hire them? If you don't hire them, you don't add those extra 4 loans, you just shaved 160 off your top line and you saved 40.
Yeah.
You're $120,000 behind. So, you know, it would be interesting for people to maybe start to think about that, or, wow, you know, I was thinking about it where it's going to cost me $3,500 a month or whatever the heck it is, but I'm going to cost myself 3 or 4 times that by not being able to use my time in the most productive way I can to bring in as much business possible. Because I've been around business owners, whether it's mortgage or other places, that are trying to shave down costs as much as they can and get the thinnest cost possible. But if that top line doesn't move, you're not going to grow your business. And the most successful businesses, they 10x their top line. And sure, the bottom line, you know, the expenses go up, you know, but your bottom line, you end up, you know, making a lot more, and then you get to share that wealth with all the other support staff that are helping you do it. So I can't say that enough from somebody who's actually climbed that mountain. I'm not just saying, hey, I think it's a good idea. I'm saying, I wish I would have taken those steps sooner. You know,
everybody says the same thing. Every successful person said, I say it. I mean, my business partners, everybody that's been successful says the same thing. Oh, I wish I would have done it sooner. Wish I would have hired sooner. And I love that opportunity cost, because you're absolutely correct. We talk about that. It's a great point that you just made, because it's like 160 to 40 or 50, whatever that is. And I always call it playing offense. You got to play offense at all times. If you're playing defense, you're losing money. If you're all of a sudden, you don't know if you can take another deal on. Last year was one of those prime examples, especially where a lot of these loan officers were getting that's been in the game for a while. They're all of a sudden doing 2 or 3 loans more a month because they're getting refinances, and they're like, oh man, you know, I wish I would slow down, or, oh, well, I'm good right now. Why don't you go and start playing offense? Like, take that extra money, get extra help, and then keep scaling, rather than waiting for that crash of the refinances to happen. And now your bottom falls out of your business. Why don't you just play offense? If you play offense all year and you're just going after loans every single day, you're going to win. But once you start playing defense and going, okay, well, we can't take any more loans on, or, oh man, I almost hope these leads slow down. It's like, what? You should never be saying that. You're saying that you about to hire yesterday. I mean, so play offense all year, you will win. You can't win on the sidelines. So
yeah, I hate to break it to some of the people that were playing defense, but I was on offense. And if you're sitting back playing, I can't handle anymore, you know, and I don't want to add more expenses while, you know, it's really frothy with all these refinances. I went out and played as much offense as I could, got as many deals as I could. And now if refinances slow down, I'm excited to be overstaffed, because you know what happens when I'm overstaffed? I go out and chase down every real estate agent I can. Hey, you should do business with us, and we're going to close your purchase super fast. Your client's going to be well taken care of. You're going to receive more referrals than you've ever received before, because I've got this great team in place. We've already proven that we can handle 50 or 60 loans a month. We did it. we might only be doing 35 right now because refinance has dried up. Let's take care of your purchases. Let's give your client the best experience that they've ever had so that they can refer their cousin, their neighbor, and their coworker and everybody else to you to do future real estate deals with.
Because you're built to win.
Exactly.
You're built to win in any market. And that's what's a beautiful thing. When you're built to win, and you said it, it's like, if I have to like go after more people and I have to take a couple more calls, we're built to win. They're keeping me free and clear. I can play offense. All those things are going to help you win, and you're not subject to the, what's going on in the market. Once you start saying the market, what the market's giving me, you got to take the market. You got to take more market share. If loans go down, you're built to take more market share all day long. And that's the beautiful thing. And the people that are not prepared are not going to take that market share. Their market share is just going to keep going down, dwindling, and you're going to struggle. So out there, please take heed of that, because don't wait till it's too late. And all of a sudden you're making it by with 4 loans a month. And if you drop 2, you're struggling in life. Go out there, hire the help, play offense, be built to win in any market. And that'll be a beautiful thing. So I know, Matt, we got to get you off here because you're slinging a few loans. You're doing a few things here.
I got a great team handling it. So we're all good
all day,
all day. Yeah. And speaking of that too, just real quick, somebody told me the other day, man, Matt, California's competitive. There's 100,000 loan officers in California. Well, great. 90,000 of them are playing defense, like you said,
right.
And they're just hoping to survive and not trying to up their costs. And the 10%, or maybe it's even less than that are built to win, like you said, and playing offense and trying to grow and scale and do more and more each year and serve more people. There's always going to be business for those folks. I can guarantee it. I continue to tell my staff that, because I promise them they're never going hungry. We're going to continue to grow and build. I don't want to forget a chance to shout out the YouTube channel, because
I was going to get you there. I wasn't going to let you go by, because you got Matt's got an awesome YouTube channel here that people are just flocking to, because he's dynamic. He's got a team built to win. He's doing it. He's doing the right things out there. He's sharing great tips and growing his business. And Matt, I'd love you to share with the group about this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I started doing it when I very first got started. The videos were terrible. The audio was terrible. The video was terrible. The content was probably halfway decent. I don't know. But I took action, right? And that's the thing, is I took consistent action week after week after week. I looked at metrics recently, and literally nobody watched it. Nobody subscribed for 5-6 years. And then it started to tick up. And last year I really went in hard, because I realized I was doing it so that I could share it with real estate partners. I could share it with clients, commonly asked questions, and it would serve 2 purposes. I was also learning as I was doing it. If I came across an FHA rule or some sort of, rule that I hadn't seen before, if I made a video on it, it would help kind of reinforce it in my mind. And so last year I took a little bit more time. I recommitted. Now I'm going to do 3 videos a week. Now I put it out Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Truth be told, Adam, it's not the greatest stuff in the world, but as somebody who talks to, 50 realtors a month, hundreds of clients a month, and I feel like I have enough knowledge just from all that interaction that if I share it, it's going to help somebody. And if 5 or 6 different clients ask me the same question, it's probably something that a couple thousand people online are curious about. So I'm just putting out, basic information for the average loan officer that does any amount of business. It's probably not, fantastic stuff, but you put that out there because all you're trying to do as a loan officer to grow a business is add more value. And I promise you, you add more value to your clients, you add more value to your, referral partners, you add more value to your network, your business is going to grow. YouTube for me was just a way to do that at scale. I'm going to try to add value by answering questions and putting it out there on, the interwebs. And, now 100,000 people a month are watching it. And so more people are receiving this value. And what do you know? It's going to, result in 50, 60, 70 loans this year that otherwise I probably wouldn't have gotten something in San Diego or San Jose or these parts of California where I'm not physically walking into an office or have a personal relationship with folks. So I can't say enough good things about, the power of Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, however you want to get it out there. Just do something with video, because that's where your clients are at. So meet them there. If you want, to go to Matt the Mortgage Guy on YouTube and look at some of the videos I put out and say, hey, that's, if this nerd's doing it, I can do it too. Go out there and copy it. Do all the same videos, go find 10 of your favorites and just remake them in your own fashion. I'm not worried about that because, I've got a wealth mindset and there's plenty of business to be had. So go out there and copy that, but there's a ton of value in that. And the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. So it's Matt the Mortgage Guy on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
And I tell you, there's a couple things there. The curse of knowledge is real. And so if anybody's listening to this, Matt said some things there on the lines of, hey, listen, this is not very special. This is not very, it's a lot of people know this. It doesn't matter. The curse of knowledge is a real thing. Once we have a knowledge, we think all of a sudden everybody's got the knowledge and we don't need it. For example, one thing I shared with to this day, like 2 years later, I still get this back, where I shared with real estate agents, $6 per thousand. Because in my area, it was $6 per thousand is basically, if they bought a $200,000 home, is basically $1,200 a month. So they could do a figure in their head that quick. Now, depending on what area at, maybe $7 or $8, you got, but depending on what the rates do, but $6 per thousand. And that they still are like, okay, so it's about $1,200 just to get in their mind before they can talk to me. And when they're talking to their client, going, hey, you want to buy this $250,000 home? That's about somewhere around $1,500 with everything in. And the client's like, I can only do $1,200. Well, we probably need to look at $200,000. It would already get the conversation going. It's something so simplistic, but it was very helpful for people. So we all think, oh, that's too simple for me to share. It could help some people. Don't have the curse of knowledge. Have the consistency to put stuff out there. And if you're trying to serve people, it's just going to show up. And I think a lot of times it's just like I talk about when I first got in mortgages, we had those sheets, right? Where you could put the, what are those called? The property sheets where you have the realtor and you on there. And I was like creating these. And I thought at the time, like nobody could do this because my company's like, oh, they've got these things. And I was like, making them and like, hey, by the way, you got an open house here. I got this over here. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you. The thing is, other loan officers could do that. I was ignorant. I was just blissful ignorance doing this. But the mere fact I was trying to add value, I was showing up with something. I was having that on a lot of realtors over. Oh. What happened there? Glitch in the system.
Glitch in the matrix.
I tell you what, it was so powerful, it went off. But anyway, don't have the curse of knowledge. Just put it out there. You can help someone, lead with value. You're always just trying to, hey, how can I help you? Record videos in your phone. You can flip your phone out, record videos and send them to your real estate agents directly to try to help them. Whatever you can do to just keep in front of them and try to add value other than just, hey, send me a deal. Go out there and play offense. Matt here's a testament to he's only been in the game for 8 years. He's crushing deals and he just showed up, very consistent action. He took massive action and he's got a coach, which by the way, not to pump Genius Loan Officer, because you can get a coach anywhere. We would love to have you. However, all the people I know that are really highly successful have a coach. I've had a coach for years. People that are really doing it at high level have coaches. So if it's not us, go get a coach somewhere and try to have someone hold you accountable and tell you some things that maybe you can tweak, because we all have blind spots. I have blind spots. Matt's got blind spots. Every single person has blind spots that all of a sudden you're like, seriously, I didn't think about this, or okay, I got my headspace here. Let somebody help you through that. So Matt, what do you got before we go? I know you got,
I just want to reiterate what you said, because it's really important. Yeah. And besides the fact that I would hire much quicker as I was growing, now that I can, step and look back at it, I would also add coaching a lot sooner, because I can't tell you the value in, it's really hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. Yep. And that's what happens with loan officers. You're in the frame, man. You're in the trenches working day in and day out. Somebody who can step back and look at that picture and tell you, hey, listen, if you did this and this, every single dollar I've put in coaching, I've at least 10x'd. And I would even say too, where I'm at now, I would have done it sooner. And I've got multiple different, I've got, a collaborative group coaching that I'm in with a collection of loan officers. I've got one-on-one coaching. that stuff is invaluable, because what you want to do, one thing that served me a lot, is you just want to get better every day. I've got a quote up in my office that's been here since I started, from Jim Rohn. Your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become. The person I've become today is a guy who can run a team that does 100 million plus in loan production. I couldn't turn that thing on in 2014. I had to get coached through and learn and add skill sets to be where I'm at in 2021. If I didn't take action, if I didn't do things back then to grow into who Matt Gougé is in 2021, it wouldn't be possible. And so coaching around that, I stand behind that. You know, like you said, whether it's Genius Loan Officer or whether it's another one, do it. Invest in yourself. That's the number one investment, right? And people always ask, like, should I go crypto? Should I go this? Should I go that? If you had a good year in 2020 and you want to take it to the next level, take some of that, invest it into coaching. I agree with that 1000%.
Yeah, I'm not just pumping it because that's what I do. I have spent in the last, I've got 2 mastermind groups I'm in, high level, and it's, with coaching, I believe in it. It's not something I'm like, hey, you all do it, I'm good.
Right. Yeah.
It's I'm constantly trying to, because I want to be a different person 6 months from now, which is funny. I was just going through some of my material before we were on here, and I'm like creating this more, this other playbook thing for my coaching. And I'm going through it. I'm like, just updating stuff. And like, man, I'm scratching that out. It's like, holy crap. Like, where'd this all come from? It's all the coaching. All of a sudden, just like it's getting right on the screen, because it's all that development we're putting in. And sometimes when you're actually, I don't know if you've ever probably done this, you've been speaking, all of a sudden you're like, where in the hell did that come from? Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's just like all of a sudden you've been doing all this study and all this work, and then it just comes out and you're like, wow, that I've learned a few things. And that's beautiful. Just like now you're speaking, you could tell that you're not like you could tell, like, you need to show up at your desk and you're just trying to fake through what you're doing. You could tell it's coming with pure alignment. It's coming with pure action. It's coming from pure intent of helping people. And that's because that's who you are, who you embody. And that's, you can see it right on camera. You can hear it in your voice. And that's because all the things you've done, take action and coaching and everything else, is just culminated to being someone different in 2021 than in 2014. So hats off to you for freaking just crushing it. That's inspiring what you're doing. And I look forward to hearing in 2025 that
500 million. That's all I ask. Not too much. I try to create big lofty goals that scare the shit out of my team. That's when I know I'm on the right track.
There you go. You got to.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the heck out of this, Adam. It was great talking to you. I hope, like you said in the beginning, somebody takes action. Don't take 5, 6, 8 things and think that you're going to implement all of them. Take 1 or 2 and say, you know what? I'm going to start putting out video, or you know what? I'm going to hire a coach, or you know what? I'm going to take one thing and take action on it, and you'll be better a year from now, 2 years from now, because of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely great advice that you are heeding yourself. And that's the best advice. Matt, it's been a pleasure. Look up Matt, the Mortgage Guy, on YouTube. Go out there and absolutely take action. And Matt, brother, I look forward to seeing all the success, man. I appreciate you being on here.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me, Adam.
Limited risk equals limited income.